Well, again, good morning, everybody. I think we should get started now. First of all, my name is Jens Lindenberg. As I said before, I'm responsible in EBusiness for the European business and would like to welcome you to our webinar today. With me today is Mads Henrik Bang, who is working within DTU, the Danish Tech University, and he will walk us through today and show us the journey of DTU from an on-premise solution into the Oracle Cloud solution. He will talk about how he worked together with Oracle and EBusiness on that one, and he will talk about the journey in general, but also about the outcome and what are the benefits and how they did adapt into the way of using cloud. So that said, welcome, Mads Henrik. The word is over to you.
Thank you very much, Jens, and thank you and good morning to all of you joining here. I have a presentation that I hope you can see on your screen right now. The first page here, I have a lot of slides. However, you are more than welcome to post questions along the way if you have some. Otherwise, I will go through the presentation and you can post questions at the end of the presentation as well if you want to. But let's proceed from here. So I'm Mads Henrik Bang. I'm from DTU, the Technical University of Denmark, and we have been working together with EBusiness for quite some years, and we implemented the HCM Cloud from Oracle back in 2018. And we have been using Oracle technology for quite some years. And all in all, this is about what you can see in the lower right-hand corner. We have been affected by a lot of customizations on our on-premise platform. And going to the cloud is very much about do some compromises and thereby stop all the customizers that we have been seeing out there. So let me see if I can turn to the next page. Yes, you'll get a brief overview on my background, so you know why I'm saying like I am doing. And then we have some background information about DTU and why we have been doing this journey. And then you'll get some tips at the end of the presentation as well. So I've been working with the ERP systems and the like for more than 30 years, 20 years in the private sector in Denmark and 10 years plus in the university sector in Denmark. I am CEO of a purchasing organization and a mutual development organization called Samarbejdet in Denmark. It consists of the universities in Denmark, so we are doing system work and implementations mutual and joint. The Technical University of Denmark is based in the northern Copenhagen, and I'm currently not able to join the campus in Copenhagen, so I'm sitting back home in Sweden where I live. Yes, we have currently 4 implementations at 4 different universities running here in Denmark, and DTU was the first one to go to cloud, and from there we have been extending along the way, and now at DTU we are working on the finance cloud project, also based on Oracle technology as well. But that's another story, but I will elaborate a bit on it along the way. At DTU, it's a very simple mission. We are in the tech area in order to benefit society, and that's our founder that actually stated this 200 years ago. So in that sense, we are a very classical university, and it's pretty simple about the mission, but the technology is very fast track into doing things. So it's both classical and very innovative to be a part of a technical university. We are ranked pretty high in some of the rankings that we are looking at. So we are proud to be at the top in the world. And that's the background that we are supporting by the HR system or the HCM Cloud from Oracle, but also by the other administrative systems that we are working with. Just some figures, the turnover and the income, and as you can see in the upper right corner, this specialities of DTU is that we are very much into projects. So it is about facilitating and operating more than 1,200 new projects on a yearly basis, and a lot of documentations about that. So DTU is very research heavy, so to speak. We have about 6,000 employees and about 12,000 full-time students. And from an HR point of view, we are recruiting from all over the world. We have a lot of external employments, a lot of temporary employments, and a lot of reappointments. So that's basically the game when we're talking about HCM. We are a very ambitious university, and this cloud journey is all about what could be rephrased by Henry Ford, as you can see here. There's a lot of colleagues on the university. If we have asked them what they wanted, then they just would have wanted a faster horse, meaning that they would have loved us to just stay tuned on the on-premise side and not doing anything. Don't rock the boat is basically the message, but that's not the way we do things. And as a technical university, we have to take our own medicine, and thereby we have been bold and brave, and we did go into cloud very early compared to other universities. Going into cloud is also, as you can see in the lower left corner, it's a paradigm shift about methodologies when implementing. So it's about cloud adoption, meaning that in the old paradigm, it's the pyramid on the left. We did a lot of effort on requirements gathering, and when doing a solution-led approach, meaning cloud adoption, this is not what we are emphasizing that much. So it's more about adopting the standard that is built in the cloud solution. And that's a huge change management task to handle. So you really need to be very careful about the cloud journey from a change management and cultural aspect, because it is a true paradigm shift. But also this is about getting rid of all the customizations that are affecting our installations and that are just feeding the old habits that we want to get rid of. So we needed some standardization, we needed more efficiency and modernization of our platform. We have been working with the Oracle EBusiness suite for many years, and we did a major upgrade back in 2012, and then we have just been patching and maintaining our system. So this about upgrading to cloud was a huge project for us. And we are also into this cloud finance, as we call it. It is about implementing ERP and EPM finance modules from Oracle as well, because there's some end of support at December 2021, meaning this year. So we have a burning platform to some extent, and I think that other eBusiness suite customers might experience the same. And as you can see, we have also a lot of customizations, and that's what we want to get rid of by upgrading to cloud, and that's a very, very vital motivation for being there. And so far, our experience is actually that many customizations can be standardized. And what we are also aiming for is this single version of the truth, because in the old system landscape, we had a lot of legacy systems with a lot of data in, and integrating all those legacy systems is quite a nightmare from a system perspective. It might be so that the end users are happy, but they are not whenever we are struggling and discussing whether the truth is lying in one legacy system compared to another legacy system. So this is also about having a platform that is integrated. And what we can see from a support point of view is that a lot of support incidents is actually coming from customizations around our systems. We did look into, oh, sorry, let me see if I can make it stay there, please. When we were considering the upgrade from Oracle EBusiness Suite to Oracle Cloud, of course, we consulted, for instance, Gartner, from where we have some inspiration, looking into whether Oracle was performing well. And what we could see was that there was some completeness of the suite. So it's an integrated platform. The user experience is quite vital as well. And we needed this data integration capability that I was talking about the single version of the truth. Also, we can see, and that's on the right part of this slide, is that Oracle has a model about how to operate in the cloud. So there's strategy and governance perspective, and service management perspective, and business perspective. So you can get inspiration from there, ensuring that you are going all around the challenges about moving into cloud. So there are some good and solid methodology that you can rely on if you want to. Also, we are inspired by what from the this is inspiration from the finance part, but I think it can be with no problem applied to the HCM or HR area as well, that we have been using a lot of effort and time for collecting data and maintaining spreadsheets and communicating by emails and documents and so on. And where we want to end up is actually not using that much time on collecting data. We want to perform analysis and being in interaction with decision makers, and freeing up time instead of doing things in the old way, by being able to develop the business instead of doing a lot of technical things in the back office. Also, this is about technological consolidation. This, I think many of you might be able to relate to. This is just a bit of our system landscape at DTU, or at least it was like it was early on. And on the left side, you can see what's from the administration point of view about HCM and ERP. And that's where we are expanding. So the yellow box in the middle here is about what we have been doing, consolidating on the platform, so that we should not integrate that many systems. So we are working systematically on getting rid of some of the legacy system, but we cannot get rid of all of them. But the yellow box in the middle are to expand, or have been expanding over some years now. So there's a business perspective and there's a technical perspective in upgrading to cloud, at least from the DTU perspective. I mentioned that we have been inspired by Gartner, and we did decide early on that we needed to go into the cloud. because we can see that the integration part of maintaining our system landscape is just increasing. And as you can see in the upper left corner, Oracle is saying, Gartner, sorry, is saying that a lot of the cost doing a project today is about integration. This is also about the scarce resources out there regarding integration specialists. You can see that in the lower left corner. And also, Gartner is saying that they anticipate that within a few years, then we will do far less code customization and far more process adjustment to the standard or to the cloud. So we really needed to rehearse on that, and we have tried to do that along the way by consolidating on the old ERP platform on-premise. But cloud is also about rehearsing on how could the organization adjust to the standard processes, and that's not easy peasy, to be honest. And that's a lot about change management, and I think you will all struggle with that along the way, but it's very vital to put some emphasis on that. And also, this is about the data model, so it's more technical, but this Oracle Trading Community Architecture, which is about the single version of the truth. Back in 2013, there was quite some mess about the universities in Denmark, and DTU, and in this cooperation, we built a ERP strategy saying that we should make a new baseline, and then we should exploit the on-premise platform, and then we should consider moving into cloud, and that's what we have been doing. So we rehearsed back in 2017, we consolidated on the EBS platform, for instance, utilizing the procurement platform. And in 2018, we did an HCM Cloud and Taleo implementation. That's basically HR core and recruitment. And now we are currently working on the ERP Cloud, as we call it, and EPM, that's about budgeting. So this is also about getting rid of the old user interface, and in order to use, for instance, mobile apps and new modern user interfaces as well. Because at a university, self-service is not considered as something attractive. So we really need to nudge the end users into the system. And to be honest, we haven't succeeded on that totally, because we have what is called VIPs. It's the professors and the assistant professors out there and the researchers, and they are not into research or education because of administration. So it is a struggle on a university to get the VIPs into the system. So we also need some proxy solutions in order to get administrators to help the researchers that are not able to do administration themselves, or that actually are that valuable so they are allowed not to do administration themselves. Nevertheless, we need a platform that is user-friendly, and that we have in the Oracle Cloud platform. So we have rephrased this ERP strategy. So now, as you can see, it's still 3 stages in the strategy, but now it's about that Oracle Cloud is the new baseline. And across the universities, we have been trying, and I mean trying, to align business processes, but doing upgrades to cloud and at the same time aligning processes across universities, which are large organizations, that's not easy. So to some extent, we have postponed this process alignment to this second stage of the strategy. And that's the red arrow that you can see pointing down to the middle stage of the strategy. So right now we are about upgrading to cloud on some universities, And on DTU, it's about the finance cloud upgrade as well, and thereby we'll get a complete move into cloud. So we think that the second stage should be utilization of the cloud platform. So it is about getting into the cloud, and after that, utilizing the platform the more. And there are different ambitions I can hear out in the market about cloud. There's this so-called lift and shift, and just the lift strategy. So you need to carefully consider whether you just want to get into the cloud fast as possible, and then you can remodel your business and so on, or do you want to remodel your business when upgrading to the cloud? So there are two major ways of doing that I can hear, and there are pros and cons for each of those strategies. And one of the reasons why we are aiming and have been aiming for the cloud is the third part of the strategy as well, what Gartner calls enterprise business capabilities. And it is about that there are new technical possibilities like AI, chatbots, and so on, which is put into the platform, and things that we are not able to do ourselves along the way. It might be so that we can do some chatbot right now, but integrating it into the business processes so that the users get a seamless experience, that's not for us an easy task to fulfill. So we think along the way, if we are not in the cloud, then we will miss some opportunities from the technical point of view. And also what we have been experiencing already is that this is a true low-code, no-code development. I would say that Gartner is saying that no-code development is possible. That's not where we are right now, but it is truly a low-code development environment. And we have been seeing that we are able to configure different system capabilities by ourselves instead of customizing and thereby paying developers doing customizations on our behalf. So there is some new possibilities we can see about the low-code capability in the cloud, at least. What we have been experiencing so far, and the reason why we wanted to go into the cloud, was that we could see that the demographic and cultural challenges were quite challenging, because we need to recruit the best academics and admins, and we could not utilize their skills on the old platform. It was very difficult to recruit people with skills on the old platform. And also we needed to get a new leadership foundation or manager role that we should support. So it is about that the researchers and the teachers, they need to take a greater responsibility on leadership as well. And that was something we needed to support by the system as well. We had a lot of fragmented processes out there with a lot of variations across departments, meaning that it was not easy to transfer people from one department to another department because the processes was so individual. And then there was a lot of paper and mails, and we have had a lot of redundancy on data in multiple legacy systems. So this was the reason why we needed to do something other than we were used to. Instead of optimizing the current system landscape, we wanted to go into the cloud. And this was about the modern user interface. And also we needed some more GDPR awareness at that time, because, for instance, recruitment with a lot of resumes sent by emails and so on, that's a no-go in a modern digital universe, I would say. Also, we needed an improved professor recruitment solution. So there are a lot of things that you need to look into about research and teaching experience when recruiting professors and so on. So there are some specialities there that we needed to support in a digital way, because in the old landscape, we sent a lot of emails with resumes and research articles and so on across the whole world, and now it is supported by the system. And we also wanted HR to advise, not administrate, and we could see that there was a lot of secretariats out on the institutes that were doing HR job, and that was not where we wanted to be. So this was also about being more professional towards the HR area. So that was the main business drivers for going into the cloud. If we focus a bit more on what we actually did and what our plans are, we could see that Oracle, they had a complete suite. So we were focused on utilizing Oracle and building skills and reinforcing our competencies on the Oracle platform. So we started up with the core HCM and talent acquisition, those two areas, and there was some temporary integrations with the EBusiness suite for time and absence management. And also we have a mandatory payroll system in Denmark supported by the Danish government. It's called SLS. And we need integration towards that, and that's a huge task, I can tell you. So be aware of integrations, and as you can see, the keyword in the step 1 was about integrations, and this is about supporting legacy and old systems. So you could argue for that. Should you take small steps towards the cloud and just emphasize on a few modules, or should you go big bang? I can argue for both ways, but consider that, because maintaining integrations, temporary integrations over time, it's a nightmare from a system point of view, and you're not freeing the technical staff from that obligations until years after. So be aware of that. You might consider going big bang in order to get rid of all the old habits, the old integrations, and so on. Next, we did implement absence management because of there were new. Sorry, what is happening? I'm not touching anything on my computer, and then it resets the presentation. Let me see what is happening. Can you see my presentation, or do you see the first slide right now? Because my computer is switching.
We see the first slide right now.
Okay.
Now we see your presentation again.
So I'm hopefully, let's stick to this slide on the presentation. So we were hit by a new vacation legislation in Denmark. It was also because of EU regulation. But the key line here is that this was by far our largest customization in the on-premise environment. And we have been configuring the absence module almost by not doing customization. There are some customization that we need in order to support specialties at the university about salary allocation and such things, but it is mainly a configured solution within standard. So we've got rid of a lot of customizations regarding that, and that's really, really a success, I would say. And also, people on the inside of the university are able to configure the most basic things about absence and so on. And of course, whenever it comes to the advanced things, we need to rely on people from EBusiness and so on for helping us. But we are able to do at least some insourcing, I would say. Instead of doing development by external resources, we can now configure and adjust the solution ourselves. So that's where this low-code development topic is actually succeeding. Then we're looking into compensation, and also we have the time and labor, which is a shared effort, because time and labor, there are two legs on time and labor. There's the absence part, and then we have the finance or allocation project part. And we need to have the finance cloud in place before we can utilize the OTL part in the cloud as well. So right now we are working on making the time and labor module available, along with the ERP and EPM cloud solution, which is planned for 21/22. So this is very much about salary allocation and resource budgets as well. So that are the steps that we have been aiming for regarding the HR perspective. And again, think carefully about whether you want a stepwise journey to the cloud, or if you want a big bang. And I think there are pros and cons on both perspectives. Consider carefully, talk to your implementation partners, and be honest to yourself about the matureness of your organization, because to my understanding and to my experience, the implementation partners, they can scale with resources on implementation like we as a customer never can do. And thereby it is about having access to the right resources internally. And that where the key to the success is. And I'm sure that Jens, early in every kind of dialogue about implementation possibilities, is aware of that. So what kind of modules have we been implementing? The HCM core, the Taleo recruitment and compensation. We did touch a bit, but that's not fully implemented. And then the time and labor, the T meaning the time or the absence part, is in place right now. And then we're looking into ERP modules like finance, projects, procurement, expense, and EPM meaning budgeting and risk management here. And DTU is working on those modules as well. And there will be some, I would say, agile work on the HCM solution as well, because we needed some temporary integrations and so on in order to integrate to the old on-premise ERP system. So when we're moving into cloud, we'll get rid of some of those temporary integrations, and thereby being able to optimize the whole setup as you see it here. What we are also considering is Oracle Recruitment Cloud, because we can see that the Taleo recruitment solution is something that Oracle acquired some years ago, and they have been trying to integrate it into the platform, but we can see that the glue is not that good. So there are some things about whenever recruiting a person, this is not occurring in the HCM core system that early that we wanted to, and we can see some of those things Oracle has been looking into in the recruitment cloud solution. That is a totally new developed solution by Oracle, which is integrated more into the HCM core solution. I don't think that it is available, the Taleo recruitment solution, more for sale, but be aware of that the Oracle Recruitment Cloud would be what you want, I think, instead of the Taleo recruitment. But that was how the landscape was back in 2017/18 when we were working with this. We have both a global and a local partner, and that's why I call it our global partners. And you can see on the left side, we have a local partner called Miracle, and we have the global partner called EBusiness. And this is all about, as I state in the headline, being global and staying local. So this is about knowing what it is to be a Danish university, but also the perspective of being a university in the worldwide context. So that's a way of working from our perspective and being able to address the specialities on the Danish university market at the same time as being able to scale. And right now, there are 4 ongoing implementation projects in the Danish university sector, and Miracle would not have been able to handle all those alone, and that's where EBusiness comes into the picture by being able to scale and work efficient on projects in a large scale as well. So we did at that time investigate what's available in the market, and basically there are Oracle Consulting as a possibility. They were not that much into the Danish sector like Miracle was, and also they were not that flexible as EBusiness was. So we looked into what was behind the scene in EBusiness, and we also did some inside analysis, and I'll get back to what that could be for you in order to look into methodology and scalability and so on. And we could see that EBusiness was agile. They knew a lot of the Oracle solution, not only the cloud solution, but also the technology that was supporting the solution for integration and so on. And they demonstrated understanding of our needs together with the Miracle, and that's where this inside analysis comes into the picture. And they are able to challenge us. So we can see that whenever we are stuck to the old habits, EBusiness and Miracle is actually challenging us. It's quite tough to be a part of that, and you need to be able to make quick decisions along the way in order to fulfill the time schedule. But nevertheless, it is vital whenever the possibilities are there, meaning going to cloud and utilizing the cloud adoption approach, then you need somebody to challenge you. And that's what we have been experiencing that EBusiness has been able to do. And also we got this new professor recruitment solution, which is inclusive this academic assessment committee, meaning that whenever we need a professor, we need to look into the professor's research and so on, and thereby we need other professors in order to assess that. And that could be professors from other universities from all over the world and so on. And that is supported by the new solution as well, instead of sending emails all around the world. And due to GDPR rules, we could not do that like we did, because things need to be in a secure system and not in emails and so on. So we have been succeeding with Miracle and Oracle as a partner so far, and we are still utilizing that partnership, I would say. Yes, our journey so far, we did this core HCM and talent acquisition live on budget, on time. We did get a fixed price contract, and we experienced that EBusiness was very agile compared to competitors on stating how much could this cost on a very uncertain level from the beginning. So they are daring to establish a framework that you can utilize regarding budgets as well. Of course, there's a lot of prerequisites that you need to be aware of. So it is also about what you put into the equation. But nevertheless, it is a standard system. There are standard methodologies. So you can get a pretty good indication on what is this all about. Of course, we had top management buy-in from the start, and that's always critical to success. But on a university, we have a lot of middle management who is also debating a lot, and they are not just accepting what's coming from top management. So there's a lot of discussion and there's a debate culture on a university. So of course, this is a challenge for us, but it's also qualifying the solution as well. We did use a lot of time on preparation, and we needed to understand what to change. And this is all about, we didn't know what we actually knew and what we didn't know, and thereby we needed someone like EBusiness to come and present a mirror, looking into the mirror, saying, okay, that's how our organization looks like, and yeah, what do we need to improve in order to get a better picture? And again, this is about the chicken and the egg, how to explain the system before it is configured, and there we'll get a lot of help by that the solution is already there. So it's fairly easy. It's not easy peasy, but it's fairly easy to come up with a prototype. And I love prototype as a methodology, because a picture tells more than 1,000 words. So that's really recommendable. Get a prototype as fast as possible in order to get in dialogue with the users. And an evergreen regarding the journey to the cloud is about data conversion. There is a lot of effort on that, and you cannot externalize that. So you really need to get your best master data stewards on board and get them into work as soon as possible in order to get cleaned and washed your old data, because it is about garbage in, garbage out. And then we used a really progressive learning methodology. It's called Herskin. He's the grand old man of IT teaching here in Denmark, in the Nordics. And this is basically about focusing on end-to-end processes, not only the IT training, because the IT part is only, let's say, 70 to 80% of the solution. There are some things in the ends as well, processes that are not supported by the system. Be aware of those as well. And it made it easier to explain and to implement, because we had this focus, and we are still using that methodology today. Also, we did a lot of cascading training and utilizing the train-the-trainer approach. And at DTU, it is the HR coordinators who are super users, because the VIPs out there, the professors and the teachers, they do not do self-service. So this is also about thinking very, very carefully about who is going to support the system in the everyday life out there when the system is implemented. So what are our reflections summed up? You really need to be very early on engaging the organization and preparing. We would have loved to have more time, and that's what we're trying to do on the finance cloud. Change management is also an evergreen. you really need to explain again and again and again the stakeholders what is this standardization thing, because they do not understand it and it is an abstract. So you really need very thoroughly to investigate if you can get some kind of picture, meaning a prototype. You can rehearse a lot from the start on what are your key messages, and then you need to have a very, very thorough governance structure. And we have explained to the organization we need to take our own medicine. We are actually in this world because of technology, so of course we need to utilize modern technology as well. You need to include the external experts about processes, because you will eventually stick to thoughts about we are used to do like this. Old habits, they are out there and they are very, very, it's very difficult to get rid of them. And then we shaped a team from the inside, utilizing the best colleagues that we could get. So whenever people out there are sad to lose people into a project, you know you have selected the right people to participate. And again, it is about attracting the right specialists in the organization, especially on data extraction and transformation, because the people that can do this will free up a lot of resources whenever the going gets tough. And then we used a lot of time on preparing the business, and you cannot get enough of that on what is this all about. But they are not listening at all the time, so you need to repeat your message again, and again. We can see that there's a lot of possibility in standardization, but you might need some sugarcoating along the way. So there are some specialities out there, and there are, for instance, researchers that should get allowance, and we cannot make a researcher coming to DTU once a year a user of the system, and thereby we have been developing some sugarcoating so that this professor from, for instance, Germany, easy can get an allowance on what he has been doing on behalf of DTU. Lessons learned, change management, and change management is very, very vital. So it is this about culture eats strategy for breakfast. Standardization and alignment, you really need to be very, very careful about what is standardization. You really need to explain it and look into it, and compliance and GDPR, they are helping you on that, because we had a lot of legacy systems not supporting GDPR. So that was a no-brainer in that respect, but it's not easy to argue for compared to the old habits. We had this thing about VIPs that are allowed not to enter the system. Thereby, self-service is not an easy thing. So we have some administrators working on behalf of VIPs, and that's quite difficult to set up. So be aware of whether you would allow that. So self-service is really something you need to look into carefully. Then we have the data migration, garbage in, garbage out. I can't say it more directly like that. You need to look into your data. Temporary integrations, go big bang, as I've been talking about already. And then the super user casting. Is it super users from the decentral part of the organization or from the central part of organization? And we've been trying both, and I'm not sure whether the one is to prefer compared to the other. So be aware of what is able for your organization about super users, but you need super users. So the advantages, it is about that you can rehearse on the system because it is already built and you have experienced partners like EBusiness. So you might rehearse by doing an inside analysis, which is a good way to see into what are the benefits of implementing a cloud solution, and also trying to get the resources in the organization. It is a few meetings, but if you have troubles getting the right people into those meetings, you might also get into troubles whenever trying to implement the system. So this is a kind of awareness exercise. So prototyping, I cannot emphasize that enough. Prototyping is so vital, and also being aware of if you can do standardization that you need to do by doing cloud adoption, it is also decustomization. You have to get rid of a lot of customizations by upgrading to cloud, and that's a huge relief in the technical part of the organization and the support organization. You can get value chain improvements. So it's a more simple technical landscape, and from the business part, they can get easier adjustment of processes and so on, and also new inventions regarding processes. And you are able to get an integrated platform and data model, and that's very, very important for DTU, at least because we have been discussing a lot of where is the truth actually in a legacy system or in the ERP system or in a third system. There's insourcing potential, and that's where EBusiness will not like what I'm saying, because you are able to do things yourself in the cloud. So you can configure things yourself if you have the right people. So it is a possibility, but you will never get rid of external help. But there's a possibility here at least. And then you get the quarterly updates. So you are forced into modernizing your system landscape along the way. And it is also including new digital business capabilities like AI, chatbots, and so on, things that you will never be able to do by yourself. That at least being said on behalf of the DTU. So that was my story so far. Any questions?
And have a nice, oh wait, there is one question. Oh, it would be helpful to have some idea of the overall investment involved. My institution is trying to do this with no extra resources. That came from, I think, Andrew Keane, which
yes.
Go ahead, Mads Henrik, whatever you want. If not, I guess you maybe want to join.
That's a classical dilemma, and you really need to handle expectations towards your own organization, because then you have to lower the service on the day-to-day operations, because this is not an easy upgrade, I would say. So it is possible to utilize the existing resources, and I can say that the grand old man in the Danish ERP analysis sector called Herbert Nathan, he's saying that the organizations, they are involving themselves too little in ERP implementations in general. So it is quite good to be involved with all the resources from the internal organization, but then you need to adjust the service level on the day-to-day operations, I would say.
Andrew, I'm not sure, we can't hear you if you're talking to us, but does that answer your question? You should be able to talk now.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Sounds like you have been able to do it with relatively little extra investment, but obviously you have used external companies to help, which must have cost significant money.
Yes, we have been utilizing external consultants as well, but it is a balance, because you really need to get internal people involved as well, because they are the experts about the culture, the organizations, the old habits, and so on. But you also need some inspiration from the outside, I would say. But there for sure there are possibilities, and it might be so that the first step you need more external guidance and advice whenever upgrading, saying that then you should go fast into the cloud, and when being there you are able to insource more than you have been able to do on premise, for instance, because it is this implementation by configuration. So there are possibilities for insourcing as well along the way.
Thank you.
Good. Then again, thanks to everybody. Thanks for your time, Mads Henrik.
You're welcome.
And nice day, everybody.
Thank you.